Good evening, welcome. You're watching Trending at 10 p.m. I'm Vishnu Shom. On this program, the big stories which have been trending on NDTV.com and on Twitter, the big trends on Twitter, and sharp discussion on the big stories of the day. We'll come to our big discussion in a few moments, but first, let's bring you some footage which has just come in the last little while. NDTV has accessed footage of Pakistani posts along the line of control in the Mendhar sector being targeted by the Indian Army, as you can see over here. According to sources, these posts were targeted because they were supporting the movement of terrorists into Jammu and Kashmir. Just a few days back, there was the terror attack in Sanjwan in which 5 army soldiers and 1 civilian were killed. Several people were injured at that stage. The Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that India would be looking at that action very, very carefully. It would not be forgotten. And now we've got this footage which has just come in of a Pakistani post being attacked. Let's cut full screen if we can to these images of this particular post. A Pakistani post in the Mendhar sector along the line of control which has been very, very heated in the last couple of months, in fact, being destroyed by the Indian Army. We're going to quickly move on now to the big stories that have been trending on NDTV.com. A Khalistani terrorist convicted of attempted murder has attended a Justin Trudeau event, the Canadian Prime Minister. He gets an invitation at Mr. Trudeau's dinner. How did he get into India in the first place? That invite was, of course, cancelled. But neither India nor Canada can explain, though Trudeau did apologize for this gigantic diplomatic snafu. Another big story: after launching his own party yesterday, the actor turned politician Kamal Hassan today said the saffron in the national flag should not spread to the entire flag. Perhaps a clear idea of where he may or may not be going with his political affiliations. Also, in reply to jeweller Nirav Modi's letter accusing the Punjab National Bank of closing his repayment options, the bank has told him to come up with a plan to pay back 11,300 odd crores. Now, the top 3 Twitter trends. There are lots of trends. They keep changing. Our idea is to pick some of those we believe really make the news. Vikram Kothari, the Rotomac chief, and his son have been arrested by the CBI in connection with this 3,700 rupee loan scam. The other big story, and this is going to be one of our big discussions. We've got 2 big discussions today. The army chief names a political party for the inflow of Muslims into India from Bangladesh. Are these political remarks? Should the army chief really be making them? Also, once again, PNB, the scam hit PNB, a headline that's common on Twitter, on NDTV.com. How will Nirav Modi really pay back his 11,300 crore dues? But first, let's move on to our big story this evening. The Army Chief General Bipin Rawat's comments at a seminar on Wednesday on the rise of a political party that champions the cause of Muslims in the Northeast. That has sparked a controversy. However, the party he mentioned, the AIUDF, has hit out, asking why the Army Chief had to make political remarks in the first place. Now, this is something that's been making headlines on NDTV.com. As you can see, it's been one of our top trending stories on NDTV.com throughout the day. It's also been a very big story on Twitter. What were the remarks made by the Army Chief? Before we begin our discussion, let's play those out.
I don't think you can now change the population dynamics of this area. If it was 5 districts to 8 to 9 that the inversion has taken place, whichever be the government, there is a party called AIUDF. If you look at, they have grown in a faster time frame than with the BJP grew over the years. When we talk of, the Jansangh with 2 members of parliament and where they have reached, the AIUDF is moving at a faster pace in the state of Assam. Finally, what will be the state of Assam? We'll have to take a call, I think, but we have to understand, we've got to appreciate to live with all the people who live in our region, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion or sex.
All right, very controversial remarks there by the Army Chief. A lot of people would say that he has no business to be making remarks about any political party in the country. At the same time, the security concerns that India faces in that particular area are very, very serious. Kamal Farooqi, member of the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, with me in the studio this evening, and also Major General Satbir Singh, an Army veteran, a Sena Medal winner, advisor of the United Front of ex-servicemen. General, let me come to you first. Do you believe the Army Chief was wrong in referring to any political party?
Well, the issue which he mentioned is right. He is only bringing out the facts. However, he could have avoided mentioning the name of the political parties.
Is it his... What about those who would say that, look, the Army Chief was speaking at a restricted sort of gathering, he was making his views known, and therefore if he had to name a political party, there was nothing wrong with it. That isn't to suggest that he is a political animal himself.
No, it is correct. The chief was right in that case. I am with you. He was only talking on a seminar of the defense people. And what he said is nothing wrong. He said about the facts on ground. If you give me half a minute, I will like to explain to you that how has this all happened.
Go ahead, sir.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, very briefly, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. You know, Vishnu, I have myself been there in Assam for 9 years and at responsible post. And I can assure you, till about 1980, there was no Muslim majority district in Assam. As late as 88, 89, it continued to be no majority districts over there. Then by 97, 98, 5 districts had become Muslim majority districts.
Yes. And so therefore the point that you're trying to make is that
of Assam,
right, you're talking, sir, about the demographics of Assam having changed, what the Army Chief referred to today. I understand the context.
Demographic invasion of India.
So essentially what you're a demographic invasion of India is the point you're mentioning. Kamal Farooqi, let me come to you next, sir. Irrespective of whether you do or do not agree with demographic invasion of India, do you believe the Army Chief should have said there is a party called the AIUDF? If you look at it, they have grown in a faster time frame than the BJP grew over the years.
I think what my predecessor has said, he has got a point in it, and it would have been better for the Army Chief to avoid these kind of remarks. But as far as the borders are concerned, definitely every Indian would be very concerned about it. And even if it is a demographic change, of course, these are very debatable points, and these things have gone right up to the Supreme Court. So, as far as ceding the borders are concerned, it is a duty of the army, and we are totally with them to protect it. But naming a particular political party, rather he has named 2 political parties,
yes,
which I think he should have avoided it.
All right.
So, because these are the 2 very important institutions, judiciary and the army, wherein we would not like to make any comment in public, and at the same time they should also understand that they have got a very high respectability in the country.
General Bikram Singh, the former Army Chief, with us. General, would you ever have referred to a political party? General Satbir Singh, one moment. General Satbir Singh, one moment, sir. I want to go across to General Bikram Singh, the former Army Chief, who joins us as well. General Bikram Singh, would you ever have made a remark when you were Army Chief naming a political party?
Well, Vishnu, let me just bring out that, when the Chief speaks, in such forum, like the, a tri-service think tank where he was speaking, 1 or 2 things I want to bring out before I give you my comments on this in this regard. One is that, generally these think tanks, they follow the Chatham House rules, wherein there is a policy of non-attribution. So people who come in to listen, to various speakers in such forum, in such gatherings, are allowed to bring out the nuggets of the discussion that have taken place without attributing that to anybody. Now, in this particular case, this trial service think tank should have, either told the chief or announced it that, look, you cannot make such, direct, attributions to any particular speaker. That is one aspect. Number 2, please understand that the chief operates in politico-military arena. He operates in the politico-military spectrum. Now, when he speaks, and mind you, he was concluding what other speakers had said. And if you go through his entire comment that he's given for about 7 to 10 minutes, there is nothing that he's, pointed a finger at. Yes, he's made a comparison, all right, of BJP and AIUDF. But I think he's just drawn an analogy from the point of just comparing the two parties. But it's
no,
not
but General Bikram Singh, I must ask you, when a chief says there is a party called the AIUDF, if you look at it, they have grown in a faster time frame than the BJP grew over the years. What is he trying to suggest?
No, look, I'll tell you, I've been Eastern Army Commander and I've also held the desk of the Director MO2 who deals with the North. When you are saying this, I think he's right when he says there has been actually demographic changes and in certain states...
I accept that, General. I understand that 100%.
So when he talks of this, he's making a mention of that this particular party has leveraged these people who have come in to beef up their rank and file.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That is your analysis of this, Kamal. Kamal bhai, would you agree with this? What General Singh says that, look, let us accept certain ground realities. There are the politics of the AIUDF. They very strongly espouse a Muslim cause in Assam. However, this is also a political force which has, according to some, been instrumental or perhaps allowed the immigration of Bangladeshis into India, with which we have problems.
If anybody, any institution, any political party is allowing this kind of migration, this is highly objectionable. And it
so therefore, if assuming I'm correct.
But let me correct
then did the General say anything wrong, the Army Chief?
Let me correct it here. Yes, it is, and any one of us will not support it. But at the same time, we have got separate institutions for it. These things have been going on. These things have been, the allegations, counter allegations are going on. Ultimately, it has to be decided in a forum.
Yeah.
What I am trying to tell you that nobody in the country will ever support that our Jawans who are saving our borders, but they should face this kind of analogy wherein the migration is there. But at the same time, it is not the job of the army. It is the job of the political system and the judiciary to take call on this. So what I personally feel, that as far as General his feelings are concerned, we are with him, because as far as our borders are concerned, definitely they should be.
Okay, General Sadbir,
they should be secured.
General Sadbir, go ahead.
I want to say to the gentleman who just spoke that national security is very much the concern of the Chief of the Army Staff, the Naval Staff and the Air Staff, to give advice to the political establishment what is right for the national security. And if he is talking about certain changes in the demography of a particular area which can cause problems of security, he is very much right to say so. And yes, in Assam, there has been a very, I would say, not appropriate movement forward up of various communities. And suddenly there has been lot of influx from outside which is illegal. And what he's saying is right.
Sir, General Sadbir Singh, let me also ask you this. Sometime back, the Army Chief had also spoken about education in Jammu and Kashmir. He said that why in Jammu and Kashmir is there a flag of Jammu and Kashmir and there a flag of India, when in fact all there should be is a flag of India, because if you don't have just one flag, then people get confused. Now, I understand his sentiment completely, but would he really be in a position to be making these remarks, which really politicians tend to do? I think that is the question, sir.
And that is what
it's not the content of what he's saying, sir. I think it is whether he should be saying it. General Sadbir.
Vishnu, he is both a nationalist, he is both an Indian citizen, he is also the Chief of Army Staff. So while all concerns to him, where he is operating as head of the institution, and he has to be very much part of it, he has to give the right advice. Therefore, he's keeping an eye on all issues which are concerning causing any problem to the national security,
right,
or having connection thereof. It is very much his concern to keep an eye over it and bring it out at the levels to the political
Kamal Sahab, you disagree? Go ahead.
As and when required.
But nobody is taking over this right, and there is absolutely no doubt of having anything saying about his credentials. What we are trying to say, there are institutions, and in a democracy there are institutions which all these things have to be taken. Yes, he is the prime security man, and he has to advise the government on all these things. This should be done. This must have been going on, and this would have been going on in the past also. It is not for the first time. If it is coming to our knowledge, this is not for the first time. We know it, all those kind of things.
Okay.
That our borders are very sensitive, but there are different forums. We have no doubt about his intentions, good intentions, or about anything else. The only thing is, was it the right forum?
No, but this
All
forum
right.
was a discussion.
Okay, one
within
second.
the
I just
defense
want to
forces.
take my last
It was
question
a
to the former
seminar
Army Chief
in which
General
he was
Bikram Singh.
discussing Northeast.
General, there are, this has become a political issue. And it's sad in a way that we are talking about the army from a political prism. I mean, I'm having a political discussion about the army chief, and it's sad for me, having covered defense for so long, to be doing this. But the Congress has also taken this one step forward. There are some Congress leaders who are asking, if the general wants to become a politician, then very good, but he needs to say that clearly. So the connection is being made. Isn't that also unfortunate, sir? General Bikram Singh?
Yes, Vishnu, it indeed is. You see, I think we should leave the army alone. People must understand that, as far as army is concerned, it's an apolitical institution. It's an institution which actually champions the secular, core value of the Constitution. And, when statements are made by the chief, they've got to be actually seen in the context in which they are being made. Now, if I'm telling you this particular speech that he has given, there's nothing wrong that he has said. When he talked of Muslims, for that matter, let me tell you, the AIUDF chief, Akmal, on one of the channels on which I was before coming to your channel, when he was made to listen to the entire speech of the chief, in fact, he complimented the chief for what he had said. So what I'm trying to bring out is that, certain excerpts of his speech are being taken and being quoted out of context. Yes, I see your point that this politicization of the army, which has been going on for the last about year and a half, it must stop. I think the political parties should lay their hands off from the army, let it do its job. And the army knows what it's supposed to be done. Because let me tell you, our fabric, which is secular fabric, which is heterogeneous, let us not play around with it. It will be detrimental to national security the day we start talking about, various castes, religions, and things like that, which happened some time back. I think we should keep the army out of any political discussion at this point. That is the only way to ensure that this army remains what it is, one of the finest armies of the world, which, despite the number of regimentations which are over there, has one main culture through which it conducts itself. And that culture is actually contingent on the Constitution of India, the core values of the Constitution of India.
Okay,
so I think we should not politicize the army at all.
All right, last comments, Kamal sir.
I 100% agree with Brother General Bikram Singh, because we treat, in all our hearts, in fact, we have a great respect for all our people in the army. So this should not be politicized at all, at any cost, and we would definitely avoid it. Even discussing this thing is a little unfortunate, but since it's a news item,
uncomfortable also.
I'm also feeling very uncomfortable. But we have complete faith, and our army, which has been always above the politics, should continue to be above the politics, and nobody should try to malign the reputation of our wonderful army. I am totally with General Bikram Singh.
All right, General Bikram Singh, General Satbir Singh, and Kamal Bhai, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to quickly move on to our next big story. Both India and Canada are embarrassed by a pro-Khalistan guest at a Prime Minister Justin Trudeau event in Mumbai. In fact, this is one of the stories which has really been big on NDTV.com as well. As you can see over here, Jaspal Atwal was convicted for trying to kill the then Punjab Minister Malkiat Singh Sidhu in Canada in 1986. He was sentenced to 20 years. Now, the same man, somehow or the other, managed to, Atwal managed to come back into India. He was convicted of attempted murder, as I mentioned. He managed to get photographed with the Canadian Prime Minister's wife, Sophie Trudeau. He also had an invitation to a dinner hosted by the Canadian High Commissioner to India today. It was attended by the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. However, after the controversy over Atwal's presence at a Mumbai event, Canada quickly withdrew the invitation. But the question now is, how did Canada invite him? More importantly, how did India give him a visa? Both sides have only one answer. We don't know how it happened.
The First Lady of Canada, Sophie Trudeau, being photographed at an official dinner in Mumbai last night with Jaspal Atwal, a Khalistani terrorist convicted for attempting to murder a Sikh politician in Canada in 1986. This photo became viral on social media, and then came the other shocker, that Atwal was invited to the Canadian High Commissioner's dinner for the Trudeaus in Delhi tonight. Embarrassed by the huge PR disaster, the Canadian High Commission took back the invite and the Canadian Prime Minister was forced to issue a statement.
Obviously, we take this situation extremely seriously. The individual in question never should have received an invitation, and as soon as we found out, we received an invitation immediately. The Member of Parliament who included this individual has and will assume full responsibility for his actions.
The person in question is a Canadian MP who issued a statement apologizing for inviting Atwal. But how did Atwal get an Indian visa? The Indian government says it's trying to find out.
They have already said that this was an oversight. Let us not presume things and decide how he managed to come. This is something which we are trying to find out, and in due course I think we will be able to come up with a reason how, under which visa or how he managed to come into India.
So who is Atwal, seen here in these undated photos with Justin Trudeau himself? Atwal was a Sikh separatist active in the banned International Sikh Youth Federation when he was convicted of the attempted murder of Punjab Minister Malkiyat Singh Sidhu in Vancouver in 1986.
This controversy is the last thing that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau needed on a trip that has already seen some bad PR for him. India is already cold towards the Canadian Prime Minister, who is known to be soft towards separatist concerns that will be put forward when he speaks to Prime Minister Modi tomorrow, face to face. In New Delhi, with Nidhi Razdan, Snigdha Basu, NDTV.
Well, joining us now, Shashi Tripathi, the former Indian High Commissioner to Ottawa. Ma'am, thank you very much for being with us. Firstly, would you agree that, both India and Canada have a lot to answer for? Canada, of course, has apologized. They've said that, Atwal shouldn't have been invited to that reception. But how did India allow him to come in the first place? Do you believe that we also need to answer these questions?
Oh, absolutely. I think this is positively shocking. But this also proves our point that all these years, the Canadian government, unfortunately, has not taken this issue seriously enough. All these years, the Canadian government pretended that it wasn't a Canadian issue at all and that it was the problem of India. One hoped that now things would have changed, but I'm afraid they don't seem to have. And here is this man who's been indicted, who's been 20 years in jail, and he comes here and muzzles his way into photographs with the Prime Minister of Canada and with his family, and then gets invited through an MP to the dinner reception by the High Commissioner. I mean, I'm appalled at the lax and the lack of security. I thought the RCMP and the CSIS were very smart organizations, but this shows that they have been lax, and this man has taken advantage of it.
Ma'am, where does this leave India-Canada relations? I mean, there was the entire issue of whether Amrinder Singh would meet Justin Trudeau. He did. There was the entire issue of whether Harjit Singh Sajjan and the Canadian Defence Minister would meet Amrinder Singh. Ultimately, that took place as well. But then this diplomatic snafu, then Justin Trudeau has to apologize. This visit, where does it leave India and Canada?
I think it is very embarrassing for the Canadian side, and especially for their Prime Minister, who is here on this long visit to India, which shows that he does put India-Canada relations on a high enough priority. But you see, now is the time. I think it's just as well that it happened, because now is the time for India to get Canada to commit to taking stern action on this issue, and to see that it doesn't happen again. And it's not as though they can't do it. They can. There are ways in which they can deal with this issue if they really want to.
Ma'am, I must also ask you, the atmospherics...
I can think of two ways that they can do it.
Ma'am, I must also ask you, in terms of Justin Trudeau over here, his very obvious attempt to reach out to Indians, dressing in Indian outfits with his children wearing Indian outfits, that's all very well, but, we don't necessarily dress like that all the time. And B, a lot of people would actually be saying that the Canadian Prime Minister is playing to a home gallery, a gallery of Indo-Canadians back there, in as much as he's trying to reach out to India. Would you agree?
Look, I agree that the optics are great. You know, here is this young, handsome Prime Minister with his beautiful wife and his 3 lovely children. So it's really heartwarming to see the whole family together enjoying this visit to India. So the optics are great. But looking beyond the optics, you have to see what the substantial results of this visit are going to be. I quite agree that some part of this visit is targeted towards the domestic audience back in Canada. We mustn't forget that 2019 is a general election year for Canada, just as it is for India. So and we have a 1 million strong diaspora, people of Indian origin living in Canada. Now, out of these, 51%, I believe, are Punjabi speaking. So you see, any Prime Minister worth his salt from Canada has to make a trip to the Golden Temple. So that, of course, explains. Yes. On the other hand, he has also been to the Swaminarayan Temple in Gujarat, because we have more and more people going from Gujarat to Canada.
Right.
So, in some ways, the atmospherics are targeted at the domestic audience back home.
I understand that. Ambassador, thank you so much for speaking to us. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Shashi Tripathi, former Indian High Commissioner to Ottawa there. Thank you very much indeed. We are completely out of time on this program, Trending at 10. We'll be back on Monday. Till then, goodbye.